to start with that patient yesterday, altered sensorium and a lung mass. Corner.
He's just shifted to CT, sir. He will there yet.
Uh-huh.
He shifted to CT, sir, now.
He has gone to CT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. What other patients do you have?
We have another 40-year-old male, sir.
Hmm.
We have another patient, 40-year-old male,
Acha,
whose ultrasound is secondary to chronic encephalopathy or HS, HS, we were thinking of.
no, but
Alcohol
then
withdrawal. Yes,
fever. He has telltale evidence of head injury,
sir. Yes, sir.
meningeal signs, neck
Yes, sir.
rigidity. Isn't it the same patient?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we could not do a CSF.
We are planning for CSF right now, sir. We are planning right now.
Planning
Yes, sir. I'm like, we didn't get the tray yet, sir, so we are
should
finding
have
for
been
the
done.
tray.
Should have been done 12 hours back because meningitis is an emergency. You
Yes,
can't
sir.
keep planning for it. As soon as you see the patient meningitis, you do the CSF. So, all right. So, how is he now? I think he became slightly better in the
Yes, sir.
morning.
He's doing a bit better, but we are planning for LP.
That's why, but
Yes,
he is sensorium wise better. But what about his
sir.
meningeal signs?
Meningeal science Cornex is negative, sir.
It has become negative now.
Yes, sir.
Which one is negative? Both.
Cornex, both are negative, sir.
Neck rigidity has also become negative.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, what about the other patient of diabetes who is supposed to go back to his hometown, Vamshi's
Yes, sir.
hometown,
Yeah, Vamshi Center.
and Vamshi is supposed to talk to people and find out whether he can get his services there.
We are on it, sir, actually.
Yeah, this patient. So, Vamshi, did somebody talk to you? Vamshi is here only. Yes, hear from Vamshi. What has he arranged?
He said he'll find out, sir, Vamshi.
You haven't talked to Vamshi?
No, sir. Not yet, sir.
Yeah, so he presented to us on 19th May for the first time. No, he had presented to us much earlier. This is Kavya. Okay. Yeah, but you have to talk about the. Okay, fine. Let us go to the previous one. 5 years back. Then type 1 diabetes. Then type 2, sorry. Then 1 year back, dripping. Yeah, I mean, Vamshi, does he know about him? I think we have already informed in the group to Vamshi about this patient. So just ask whether he could find anything.
Yes, sir.
He is here only, I hope. Okay.
I'll find
Since
out.
3 months, patient had burning micturition, not as a fever. Then he consulted urologist. Then he had TURP. Okay. Here they have not mentioned what was his creatinine before the TURP. Okay. Let's go down. Few days after his surgery. Uh, few days after his surgery, he presented to the hospital. You're talking to Vamshi? Acha. Can you? No, that's okay. I was reading that also. I was reading, yeah. Can you scroll down a bit? Few days after, let's do that. So this few days after his surgery, he presented to the old hospital. Is it? Drowsiness and excess sleep that attendants felt difficult to waking up from sleep. Attendants were regularly monitored. People found this frustrating. Acha, Vamshi is on the line. Shashikala, just mute yourself. Just mute yourself, Shashikala. Vamshi, yes. Yeah, did you, I mean, could you find out anything about this? Okay, no, we had informed in the group actually. I had informed in the group, so I thought you might have seen that. So anyway, this is the same patient we are talking about for your benefit. Um, Essentially, these are things which have happened to him, and so we can go through this. So he had a TRP surgery, then he presented to that hospital with drowsiness, um, and he was found to have hyponatremia corrected. Then his creatinine levels slightly got started getting elevated. The problem is we don't have any proper documentation. What was his creatinine level before this? Now his relatives are telling us that his creatinine levels were higher even before the surgery. Like it was probably 2 or 3 even before the surgery, and after the surgery it went up to 6 maybe. Maybe that is all that happened. And slowly after the surgery it went to 6, and again it came down to 3. And after that again on 17th May it became 6. So on 19th May he came to us, this time with shortness of breath since 4 days and high grade fever. No, I think we have missed something here. We have missed his first admission with us. I don't know if Kavya is here. Huh? 19th May is the second admission, Kavya. He had come to us for the first time somewhere else. In this paragraph, can you give it this to me? See, this paragraph, few days after his surgery, he presented to the hospital with drowsiness, excessive sleep. That's okay. By regularly monitoring, found to fluctuating. I found a hyponatremia. After correction, patient improved. Was this our hospital? Which hospital was this? Also, yeah, you were there in the ward at that time. Huh. You had. So where was he at this? Which date did he come to our hospital for the first time? It was not 17 May.
Sir, can I speak about this patient, sir?
Huh? Yeah, Mansa, what?
Sir, he came on April 14th, sir, for the first time.
April 14.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's why the dates have all got.
So he came with the complaints of decreased appetite and generalized weakness, sir.
Huh.
At that time, his creat was.
So this
Sir?
is not here, no? This is not mentioned here. I think this.
Yes, sir. It's not mentioned. Mentioned from the second admission, sir. The PG did not mention about first admission.
So who was guiding her? Somebody had to guide her, no?
Yes, sir.
Maybe she has just gone through the second discharge. That's how she has written it. So basically, uh, maybe it should start from not 19th May but 14th April, as you're saying.
14th April. Sir. At that
What
time,
about
his
this
creat
paragraph?
was 7.4, sir.
Yeah. Just look at this paragraph. Few days after surgery, presented to the hospital. Which hospital was this with drowsiness?
To our hospital only, sir. But because we kept the patient on diet or 10 mg for 3 days, sir. But the patient used for more days. So he came with the complaints of drowsiness and same generalized weakness. Then he was diagnosed to be having hyponatremia, sir, at the time.
So this is our hospital.
Yes, sir. The second admission is also in our hospital only.
I mean, this is the first time to our hospital.
This is the third admission in our hospital, sir. First, he came on 14th April. Second, he came on 27th April, sir.
Okay, so this few days after his surgery, he presented to the hospital. This is which one? Is this 14th April? With drowsiness and excessive sleep? that attenders felt difficult waking up from sleep. Is this 14th April or
No,
27th?
27th April, sir. That is.
This 27th April. So
Yes, sir.
14th April was when? 14th April was
She
few days
did not
after.
mention about 14th April changes, sir, actually.
Yeah, so here the dates and everything is missing. So few days after surgery, when was the surgery? That also is missing, isn't it? So we
The
have to work
surgery
on
was
this.
done on.
Yeah, so do one thing, Mansa, try to sit with Kavya and
Yes,
fix
sir.
this up, this
Yes, sir.
area,
Yes, sir.
because this part is not clear. Because yeah, there's a lot of events which have happened which have been missed here.
Yes, sir. She
So,
missed some.
from what I remember, we thought that he had. I mean, what we were puzzled with was not his hyponatremia, as you rightly said. He was on some medications which could have made him hyponatremic. We were puzzled by why his creatinine went up, because his obstructive uropathy, initially we were told obstructive uropathy, but obstructive uropathy was not that prominent. Yes, of course, he had bilateral hydronephrosis, but it was not that
Yes.
prominent. So we were wondering why his creatinine went up. Then someone said that TURP, during TURP, it can happen. Like when you have a lot of bladder wash with some particular
Glycerol.
fluid. What fluid?
Fluid.
Some fluid.
Glycerol. Sir. Glycerol. Glycerol. Sir.
What? Some particular fluid. So that can raise the creatinine, and that's what we thought. Perhaps was contributing to his rise of creatinine after the surgery, because at that time the relatives were particularly very, persistent that his creatinine was normal before surgery. So we thought, okay, the only way to correlate is that URP caused the creatinine rise, and we found out something like that can happen. But now recently I was told that they were saying no, the creatinine was high even before the surgery, and somehow it just increased a little bit more. So
Before surgery, it was 3, sir. 2.2 to 3, sir. Before
yeah,
surgery.
yeah,
And after surgery, it raised up to 7, sir.
exactly. So
Within within
this
2 to
is
3 days of surgery, post surgery.
yeah. This is the current version that we are hearing from them, that it was 3 before surgery. But again, we
Yes, sir.
don't have any of the papers before surgery and all that. Those papers are also required. Somebody talk to them, it seems. No?
Sir, I spoke to the urologist there, sir. Who
Where is
operated
the
in
urologist? Where
yes,
is
sir, I
he?
verified, sir. He is from Vijayawada, sir.
Vijayawada, yeah. Everything is
Yes,
in Vijayawada. So
yes,
I
sir.
don't know. They got operated in
They
Vijayawada, but
have done urodynamic studies before the TURP, sir. It
yeah,
showed bladder outlet obstruction, sir.
those
Showing
are fine.
the distal pressure side.
Yeah, those are fine. I mean, he definitely had a bladder
Um,
outlet obstruction, which was
yes,
also being seen as bilateral hydronephrosis. But
yes, sir.
but did he have a raised creatinine before his surgery?
It's up to only 3, sir, not more than 3.
Okay. So
Yes,
after
sir.
the surgery, instead of coming down, the creatinine went up further. So how was
Yes,
that explained? Was it explained by the fluid that they use in surgery, which we found out, we reviewed the literature and found out something about it? I don't know whether you were there at that time. Nikita was there,
yes,
I
sir.
guess.
Nikita, ma'am.
Yeah, and you were also there.
Yes.
You remember that fluid that we were reviewing the literature on?
That's
During
the fluid glycerol, sir. Glycerol we'll be using for bladder wash
glycerol.
during the
Yeah, glycerol bladder wash. Okay. Yeah, and that
within course.
can somehow affect the kidney and cause azotemia, isn't it? That's what we had
Yes.
thought about.
Yes, sir, we can.
So we thought of that because we did not know that his creatinine was already raised before that. So now that we know this, we are thinking that his kidneys were affected before the surgery also, and
Yes.
most likely because of his diabetes or whatever other factors. Let's call it microvascular factors, just like we call it, when you have heart failure, we call it HFPF, early heart failure. Similarly, here we have a renal failure where very likely it's a vascular problem. So, short of any other, way to figure it out, let's say a biopsy or something. So, probably he had that and exacerbated after the surgery. And then he was, after coming here, was doing fine. He went home, his creatinine had slowly gone down, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And it was probably touching 3 again.
At the time of discharge, it was 4.
Yes, and his blood sugars were okay, and
Being
started getting,
controlled, sir.
yeah, and then the blood sugar control was also slightly going here and there, and then he came back to us this time with fever, isn't it?
Presenting from yes, sir.
Yeah, after discharge when he went for his routine test on 17th May. Is it 17th May? This was which one? There are 3 admissions, so that's why it's become very problematic. So somebody has to sit and write them properly. Okay, Mansa?
Yes, sir. We'll change. We'll change, sir. This third admission is on 17th May, sir.
He did it at home. And then he presented to the hospital on 19th May, shortness of breath, 4 days, high-grade fever, and creatinine levels were again high. And there was a history of fleshy mass passage. And essentially, we thought it was pyelonephritis when we reviewed everything. How much was his blood count at that time? Yes, something.
It was very high, sir. 39,000, sir, at the time.
So here we have a nice serum creatinine graph from 15th April, 8 milligrams. So when was the operation? 8 milligrams.
It's 27 March, sir. In the March, sir.
March. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So was he admitted here 15th April?
Yes, sir. He was in our hospital.
Okay.
The first admission, sir. During the first admission, these are all the creat values.
15th April. Then, so these are the first admission values.
Yes, sir.
When he was admitted.
Up to 23rd, yes, sir.
23rd, he was admitted with us. First time. Then second time is 17th May? No.
No, sir. He was first time admitted on 14th April, sir. 14th April.
So 15th April, these are all our she was
values up to 23rd April. He discharged on 23rd, sir.
23rd.
Again readmitted on 27th April. She missed again. She missed 2 days. Sir.
Okay. And
she missed again. And 17th May is the now present admission, so third admission.
Okay, so this is how the creatinine has been behaving. So essentially, this was the first one where we were thinking of the TURP and everything, and it is coming down. Came down only to 5.2. It never came to 3, it seems. And then again, it went up this time on 17th, 19th May because of his pyelonephritis. Now, if he also had his TLC graph and,
TLC was wrote in the fever chart, sir. Its numbering was written. Only the numbers were written, sir. Fever chart.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, the TLC, fever chart, all those things, if they were there, we could have.
In fever chart, there was a TLC, sir.
We would have known what was happening to him in totality, that is. So, WBC counts, can anybody tell us along with that? Now, here.
Day of admission, it was. Day of admission, it was 38,200, sir. The second day it decreased up to 35,000.
Okay.
Third day it was 29,000, sir. Because the patient went into altered sensorium and he is very drowsy, we started him on dialysis on 21st, sir.
Yeah. 19, 20, 21st.
On 21st, we have done the first dialysis because he was drowsy and altered, sir, actually.
Can we see his WBC count? Is it written here somewhere?
Yes, sir. It was written in the fever chart. in
this, but I can't bring it down. Okay, maybe I'll have to reduce it, then only I can. It's there. 30. Okay. Okay, I can read it here. 38,000, 35,000, 39,000, 35,000, 27,000, 20,000. This is 24. And today is 29. So what about his WBC count after this? Do we?
After that, it went up to 16, and now it's presently 12,000, sir.
So he's completely free from the sepsis. So here we have his fever also, along with the WBC count, which is suggestive of a sepsis. And this sepsis we know is pyelonephritis because of UTI.
Right? Come.
And you can see the urine at that time was almost pus-like.
Yes, sir. Now also it's first like only, sir.
So, no, but now the pus-like character. In fact, today's Sai Charan showed me the urine, Sai Charan Sashikala. Very, very different. It's completely more of straw color. So here,
No, today early morning they have done the bladder wash, sir. Daily we are doing twice bladder wash. Then after doing bladder wash, it's coming like straw color, sir.
Acha. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got the urine culture this time, and this is showing a very.
Presently, right now, Candida species were isolated, sir. The first two were E. coli.
Yeah, those Candida species could be just contaminated. I don't think we need to worry about those. Have you ever come across Candidal UTI and whatever? I mean, male, female, and that is causing problems. And you have seen the entire clinical course of this man. You know, the WBC count is settled. The patient is much better.
Yes, sir.
And you just did the repeat UTI to see whether there is any E. coli left.
E. coli, yes, sir.
Gifted you a Candida. So that return gift you can return. And you are okay that the E. coli is not there. So this MDR E. coli, interestingly, is sensitive to nitrofurantoin and phosphomycin. So what kind of organism is it? Is it ESBL, which is resistant to all cephalosporin group on antibiotics, or is it CRE, resistant to carbapenem?
Resistance to carbapenem.
Huh? Meropenem is also resistant?
Yes, sir, resistant. Yes, sir, resistant.
Yeah, so it looks like an ESBL as well as CRE. So quite an organism. But very interestingly, ESBL CREs are also sensitive to nitrofurantoin, which we did not give. We opted for phosphomycin. And nicely, he recovered from that also. So very, very interesting. So for Vamshi, we presented it. So Vamshi, now you will have to follow him up in your hometown, which is also his hometown, and kind of attach him to a nephrologist there. There is one of my students there, and I'll have to find out. But otherwise, they are keen on showing in Manipal there. So, will you be able to find out? Yeah. Also, you can, if you. Okay, so okay, so the patient, NRI is taking only COVID cases, so that is out. Now, what about Manipal? Yeah, if Manipal, do you know anybody there in Manipal? Yeah. Yeah, just see. I'll also try to find out. Then we will try to work up something. And so this is the only thing which is pending in this patient. Basically, keep him on dialysis, and better that he gets dialysis from Guntur only. That's the best, because he's not going to get Arogyasri here. So they're spending a lot of money on cab coming from Vijayawada to this place. I'm not sure why they came here in the first place. They could have easily availed of the services there. So we can attach him to Manipal, and maybe he'll get the Arogyasri also there. Okay, so that's what we are planning for him. So Mansa, are you in the ICU right now?
Yes, sir.
So what is the next patient? Yeah, but Mansa is also there, seems. So, yeah, what about Raveen? He was supposed to brief us on the lung pathology and this. So where is Raveen? Mansa?
Sir, I want to discuss about the old case, sir.
Yes, Sashikala.
The one with cirrhosis, sir, chronic liver disease. Spontaneous SBP or something we were thinking about, sir.
We can't hear you.
SBP, sir, SBP and liver cirrhosis. A young man.
That man with SBP. How is
Yes,
he?
sir. So he's doing better, sir, now. His counts came down to 11,900, sir.
His WBC counts are less. And how much was it earlier?
16,000, sir.
Okay, let's see his updated fever chart, which Charan is showing us. Charan, somebody was supposed to update this. In the morning, somebody said that he will. Okay, anyway. So, yeah, so the fever is also touching baseline almost. And the WBC counts are coming down. So, this is good. So, here again, antibiotics have helped us and the patient.
Yes, sir.
So the main thing is now he'll go home, and for as long as he's behaving well, he'll be all right. If he starts taking alcohol again, a small drop, he will again meet the same. So now the problem shifts from SBP to alcoholism. How to manage his alcoholism? So ideally, he should be in the de-addiction center for 3 months. So can they afford the de-addiction center, or shall we leave him to his fate?
I'll counsel them about regarding the de-addiction center, sir. I'll counsel them regarding the de-addiction center, sir.
Yeah, you'll have to talk to them, saying that if he goes home and again starts drinking, then he will all our hard work will go to through the drain, isn't it? So
Yes, sir.
we have to be very particular that he is completely off alcohol. Yeah, this is his chart now. The WBC count. Yeah, can you make it? That's great. I mean, his WBC count was never very high, Just 13,000 at the most. Yeah, very interesting. He had such a bad sepsis, but his WBC count wasn't high. On the other hand, that man, he also had a bad sepsis. His fever wasn't that high, but his WBC counts were 39,000. Very interesting. Okay. So this man has got a good story. That previous man is also doing well. Now, who else? That lady with HIV, and Raveen was supposed to tell us about the lung pathologies, discuss more. So where is Raveen now? Sashikala?
He's not here, sir.
He's not
Not
there.
in
He's
ICU.
not here. Where is he? And where is the e-log of that? This is the e-log. Okay. Is there any discussion here? So Sri Lanka could have done the discussion of the lung involvement. Yeah, let us see the other parameters. Is anything abnormal other than the lung? Yeah, everything else looks okay. Let us see. 3 is albumin. Fine. Everything is more or less okay. Let's go down. Go down. Has Sri Lanka been able to upload this HRCT? Because it's quite, I mean, we are seeing this X-ray. It's not as impressive as the HRCT. HRCT is showing a fantastic finding of, here it is. Very good. Thank you, Sri Lanka. So upper lobes are involved here. And look at the upper lobe involvement. So it's starting from extensive involvement, beginning from the upper lobe, and mostly ground glass opacity. Here also you can see only the ground glass opacity, and as we are going down, still ground glass, not breaking, still ground glass, not breaking. So majority of the lung is involved with ground glass opacity only. Yeah, go down. And of course, you can see the air bronchograms, which indicates that it's a kind of a consolidation. And the ground glass opacity is also because of alveolar inflammatory cells. See how beautifully the air bronchograms are visualized here. So you can make out that it's essentially a mnemonic consolidation, which are seen as ground glass opacity. Now let's go down to further down. Yeah, here you see the ground is breaking a little bit, the glass. Come down further. Further. Hey, we're going up here, not down. Here. Acha, that's all? Acha, she has not got captured the ones which are showing the crazy payment. Crazy payment. Yeah, opening the RADSPA now will again take up a lot of time. Let's go down. Yeah, she has captured most of them which are looking ground glass only. Yeah, good. Look at the upper lobe also. Look at the nodular opacity in the upper lobe. So where is that crazy payment thing? This is not the crazy payment thing. The crazy payment will be where this ground glass has broken. Basically, crazy payment is like shattered glass, but it is on the pavement, separately. No, it's okay. I think. Yeah, it's difficult to show by hiding the identifiers. Have you seen the crazy payment area, Shashikala? You were not there when we were discussing it, I think. You had gone that side. So basically, you will look at the lung where it appears as if the glass has broken and they are all discrete. And that is because of this alveolar, intraalveolar fibrosis. So inflammation followed by fibrosis. So that is what it is. And it's very interestingly very similar to what COVID also shows. So that's why we wanted a kind of a small lecture on what are the pathologies in COVID lung, pneumocystis carinii lung, acute ILD lung from Raveen, but he has disappeared completely. And none of you are prepared. He has not even given this uh, assignment to anybody else who could fill in for him here. So since yesterday, day before, we have been trying to get this, but nobody is coming out, isn't it? Nobody is forthcoming about it. All right. Anyway, the patient is doing much better. Saturations are holding with how much liters of oxygen? How much liters?
100.
Huh?
6 liters. With 6 liters, sir.
6 liters. 6 liters, the saturation is?
100, sir.
100, that's very good. You can reduce the amount of oxygen. So in COVID, if you had this kind of destruction, from whatever we have been seeing in the COVID ward, the patient may not have had this much of less requirement of oxygen. But again, this is all conjectural because we are talking in based on our anecdotal experience, what we are seeing day in and day out, without properly meticulously documenting each. So anecdotally, I would say that in a COVID, this may not happen. With so extensive destruction of the lungs, still the SpO2 is maintained with only a little bit of oxygen, 6 liters. This may not have happened. So pneumocystis carinii is higher up on the list of differentials in this patient. So what are we giving her for pneumocystis carinii? Is one tablet of cotrimoxazole enough as a treating dose, or is this a prophylactic dose? What is the actual treatment dose for pneumocystis
It's a
carinii?
prophylactic dose, sir.
What is she receiving? She must be receiving a treating dose, isn't it? So is that the right treating dose? One tablet of cotrimoxazole because of her body weight or what? What? Huh? What is the right dose of pneumocystis carinii which she is receiving? Cotrimoxazole, yeah. How much should she be? That is just one tablet, isn't it? So is one tablet of Bactrim DS good enough? Of course, it will also depend on the body weight, but her body weight is like normal. 15 to 20 milligrams of what? And trimethoprim is how much in that Bactrim DS? She appears to be a 50 kilo woman. So how much would she require? So what you are reading is the actual dose for pneumocystis carinii per kg body weight. So how much of trimethoprim does she require for 50 kg? Okay, so for 20 milligrams per kg, 50 kg, she requires how much of milligram for trimethoprim? 1000. Huh? So how much is she getting? Is that 160 trimethoprim or the other one? Sulfamethoxazole. Acha, Sashikala, look at her Bactrim DS. Look at a tablet of Septran which she is getting. See what
Yes, sir. Tablet.
how much of trimethoprim is there, how much of sulfamethoxazole is there.
Trimethoprim is 160, sir, and sulfamethoxazole is 800, sir.
Huh?
Sulfamethoxazole is 800, sir.
Trimethoprim is 160.
160.
Yeah, so according to Sai Charan, the dose for pneumocystis carinii is 20 milligram per kg body weight. 15 to 20 milligram. What is her body weight, Sashikala?
50 kgs, sir.
50 kgs. So how much of trimethoprim?
Okay, here. Vetra.
Yeah, Sashikala. So how much of trimethoprim, sulfamethoxazole, should we give her for pneumocystis carinii? There's something wrong with our dose which we are giving her. So Dr. KV is going to tell us how much to give.
Trimethoprim, you're supposed to give 15 to 20 mg per kg per day. So if we take her body weight as 50, it should be almost 1000 milligram per day of trimethoprim. Sulfamethoxazole, we have to check for it, sir, one sec. Yes. One second, we'll check it out. It usually depends upon even the degree of severity, sir, the dosage.
ఆల్రెడీ అప్పుడు బయట అక్కడ లేడంటే లేదంటే
120 mg per kg. 50 years now.
We are treating this patient with PCP without knowing the dose since yesterday. So I think KV is still searching for the dose of sulfamethoxazole, and she is asking you to give trimethoprim. Timoxazole combined. Okay, this is severe PCP. So 120 mg per kg would be how much? 50 into 120. And how much is this combined thing coming? 160 plus 800. 1000 it is coming. And this one combined? 6000. So is she supposed to take 2 tablets, yeah, 2 tablets of these 3 times a day. Shashikala, you are giving her
Yes, sir.
just 1 tablet where she requires 2 tablets 3 times a day. So now please sit with KV and work out the details. Huh?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
then change the dose. But don't just change the dose because somebody is telling you. You have to be very confident. Look it up. Okay.
Yes.
Find out what the exact dose is. I don't know till now what were you doing. I mean, why were you not searching for the dose? So why did you just keep on giving her 1 tablet of cotrimazole? Who decided this?
BT dose, sir. That's a
Huh?
BT dose. That's a BT dose, sir.
Yeah, why are you giving her BD dose? I mean, how did you decide that it is BD? You have to and then decide what exactly how much she requires. Somebody told you it's BD and you gave BD, isn't it? So look up, review the literature, and then find the exact dose, isn't it? And then share it. Till then you give BD, fine. But also review the literature for the perfect dose.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so nobody is here to talk about the lung pathology. Ravin has completely disappeared. And any other patient that you would like to discuss?
No, sir.
Anything else that you would like to?
We are preparing for LP now, sir. I'll show you the video once it's done, sir.
Huh?
We are, we are doing the LP, sir. We're going to start for LP now.
Okay.